Well, hello and good afternoon. Carl here, live from a branch in
what's
a
happening?
mission this afternoon. And I didn't get to sing this because on location, the video streaming was a little bit bumpier. I don't know how it was for you guys, the Fresh Air team and head gardener Lee McGrady. How are you, head gardener?
Tired but happy.
He's all right. Look at him. Tired but happy. What more could a man want in life? And what about you, Anna? How's Devon this afternoon? How's your bank holiday? Thank you for being here on a bank holiday.
That's all right. It's gone well. I think I've done fairly well on ice creams this weekend. Just come back from my second one, although first one for the bank holiday, and a bit of sport watching and all that sort of thing. So yes, keeping busy. And last time I was out in the garden was when I saw my aunt and uncle and my cousin over the weekend. I think it was yesterday. We got invited over for lunch and had a little wander around the garden. And it's a little bit on the cloudy side, but feeling fairly mildish. So can't complain too much. Otherwise,
good for you, Anna. And I think it's sunny in the UK, isn't it? Unusually for a bank holiday, is that right?
It's not looking too bad. I haven't been aware of any rain, which is I don't know whether to say that's slightly unusual, but yes, definitely no rain so far. So
very good, well played. All right, and John, how are you? I know the weather's pretty similar to you because you don't live far away from Anna, but you've been out and about, have you, on Dartmoor?
Yeah, this is true. I went to Belvoir Forest today, which was very nice. Actually, went quite early actually to try and avoid the crowds because, of course, Dartmoor, it's a big tourist spot and it gets very busy up there. It's lovely, but it gets very busy for anyone who doesn't know. But anyway, like we were walking through Belvoir Forest with all the sort of ordinary wild UK trees and plants that you would normally see in that sort of area, and then suddenly we come across a buddleia, which was quite interesting actually. So I assume it was probably dropped by a bird, and seed was probably dropped by a bird or something like that. I mean, I don't know, because there was no sign by the Forestry Commission or anybody saying, oh, look, we've planted this for this reason. And to be honest, I don't actually know why they'd do that anyway. It would seem an odd thing to do, which was a potentially invasive species into the forest. But I mean, maybe Lee, you might know a bit more on this, because I was a bit surprised to see it, to say the least. So yeah, I don't know if you have any views or knowledge on that.
Definitely views about it. Yeah, definitely views on it. Buddleia divinia. Buddleia divinia, which is the most popular in England. It's a beautiful plant. It's a beautiful garden plant, but they are extremely invasive, and they're everywhere in the countryside now. Very similar to the rhododendron problem. And in the late 70s, early 80s, people didn't mind, and they turned a blind eye to it. And now it's costing millions and millions every year to clear them. And the problem is, not so much of the buddleia, they're quite easy to rip out and get rid of. But the rhododendrons are becoming a nightmare for big landowners to clear and burn and retreat the soil, because it makes the soil very acidic when the rhododendron's been there for time. So yeah, a bit of a nightmare for the British countryside services. But that's one of many plants that we're having trouble with. Ragwort, spear thistle, they're all widespread now across the country, and they should have been dealt with in the 70s before it got so bad. But local government didn't want to spend the money, and now it's a major problem.
Wow, very interesting. And the ragwort's the one that's difficult for the horses, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got a chemical in it, pyrolysis alkali. I can't think. Something Latin.
A chemical,
yeah, and it causes warts and blisters on the horses' tongues and lips. But there are two species of ragwort in the UK. There's the invasive species, but there's actually a marsh ragwort as well, which is completely harmless. Much smaller than the invasive ragwort, but look exactly the same, like a miniature version of it.
Yeah.
So that's a native wildflower that should be treasured. And then you've got the invasive ragwort, which has come from the Himalayas or somewhere. My one pipe, it'll come to me in a bit, the Latin name for the chemical. But it lives on a 3-yearly cycle. So the first year it sits dormant as a seed, then it comes up as a crown, and on the 3rd year it sends out a shoot of flowers and seed heads.
Yeah.
So technically, over a 3-year or 4-year cycle, you can clear your land of it.
Okay.
A lot of small farms and small horse places, and they don't have the financial backing to do it. You know, you got to clear the land, you got to chemical treat it all. It's an expensive hobby keeping horses. Yeah, but there's
true.
one type. There's one type of moth. There's one type of moth that loves to eat the ragwort. And it's very similar to the barnet moth in colour, black and white. They devour it. Unfortunately, they don't devour it until it's already flowered. The cycle's wrong with the caterpillar. If they come out a few months earlier, it'd be perfect. But yeah, I believe people are working on it. So yeah, invasive species are a problem everywhere.
Well, all right, okay. I'm not. I think I lost you there, and that might be. Yeah, that'd be great. Sorry, I had a bit of a freeze there, and it might be because I'm on. As I go around Portugal, it's often so amazing to see that most towns offer free Wi-Fi, and I'm testing the branch public Wi-Fi this afternoon. So I don't know if that's going to hold up okay. And a slight freeze there, but that could have been anything. So let's see how it goes. If the microphone's windy as well because the wind's picking up, do let me know. Obviously, nothing like what's going on in the United States at the moment. You're seeing the power of nature over there at the moment, aren't you? Terrifying pictures coming from the United States. So we can count ourselves lucky. I've got a slight breeze here in a branch, but I hope that's not too much of a problem. We're going to look at water harvesting, and I think water retention, irrigation, all those sorts of things. How to save water, how to feed your plants, or how to water your plants economically, and how to make the most of the water that comes your way without it. Who will obviously have forgotten that we're on, or have not seen us going live. But we'll catch up with it. Was I just talking to myself for 2 minutes there?
No, we had most of it. We got most of it. We got the gist.
Special request. So hello to you, Fiona, or hello to you, as normally happens later on. Oh, I forgot you were on, and I'll watch it later. So this is lots of love to you, Fiona, and we're talking about water harvesting. If anyone's got their own little ways of doing that, and little tips and tricks, do send the photos in, because I think I will be able to get things over from WhatsApp across to the stream this afternoon. And we've got Louise is here this afternoon, so we do have under the
Carl's just had a bit of a freeze moment again, but he should be back in a matter of seconds, hopefully. So it was, well, 9 minutes 24 seconds. It's not been 9 minutes and 24 seconds. She stopped at about 9 minutes and 18 seconds or something like that. So, but yes, he's. What were you saying there, Lee?
I think Fiona's question was about water retention rather than irrigation. So should we start with that?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. One of the big ways to retain water is obviously to do it in the winter period when we've got more rain in Portugal. But a lot of the boxes here in Portugal don't have guttering systems or rain collection systems. It runs right off the roof, right onto the ground. We've added water drainage onto the outdoor kitchen where I'm sat now because it wasn't here when we moved in. So the best way to catch and retain water is through your guttering systems. And there are a lot that are on offer at the moment. It's a great time to buy it in the summer period when no one else is rushing to buy them. You can buy a water butt that sits in with your drain pipes. It comes with a connector for your drain pipe. So it only collects enough to fill the water bucket, and then as soon as it's full, the rest of the water goes down the drains. But then you can do like the DIY method, where you buy the big plastic barrels. I can't think what they're called at the moment, but they come like an aluminium frame. they are perfect for water retention. But you've got to make sure you clean them out first. And there's a few videos on YouTube about connecting them together. So you have 2 or 3 all connected, and you can put the water back out from them. And water pumps are very cheap, very affordable now. For a good quality one, you're looking at maybe €30, 25, 27 pounds. So that would be the way I would personally go, is with the large type water containers with the aluminium frame. And if you've got the space, connect 2 or 3 together. If you don't use the water very quickly. The other way to think of it is, if you've got the space, you can sink these big water containers into the ground, and you can filter water straight from the frame, allow it to hit the ground, and fish down some plants, some plants, some blossoms like that, and make your natural filter, which works really well. And then it's hidden away as well. Got inside, it does take a bit of digging. If you set up the water system correctly to start with, and you use a pump method for extracting your water from the bowser that you've got, you can then run it through a plastic pipe system. And you can run it directly to your veg plot or to your flower beds. And that also saves water. You're not scooping it out in a bucket and using too much. These are quite popular in Portugal. It's a little 50 system. So if you have a big plastic bowser, you drop your pump into that. When you run 15mm pipe, the bowser through your garden, around your flower beds, and you attach these to the 15mm pipe. And then they drip feed your flowers. And then you can turn your pump on, 2 minutes, turn it off. And you're not using any excess water, you're not spilling anything. These are really great, and they're really affordable as well. That's what I would do. Maybe might be worth doing a separate video for that. You've got the step up from that. If you use a bigger sprinkler. These are the same. You put onto the 15mm pipe. The pipe connector, dead simple method. That's a power sprinkler system. They'll actually tell you on the side how much water per minute will be used, so you can calibrate how much water you need. And you just put those in them, they pop up and they spray out nicely. That's the one I use personally.
So have you sunk all of that into your lawn then, Lee?
No, yeah. All throughout the garden is a 15mm pipe or a 25mm pipe, sunk underground. And they connect onto this system, and it's on a timer system, and 20 today it pops up and plays the garden. The timer system's on for 7 minutes in the morning and 7 minutes at night at the moment. Because I'm doing a bit of stress test on the farm with minimal water. So there's some all the way to the garden. They're really good as well. I like it. And then there's
fantastic.
Also a bigger version of that. The meaningful version, which is virtually the same thing. Connection to the pipe system. Look for a timer. This is an old one. I'm going to put the frog pop up. But the head pops up and it comes on, no problem.
And you can set those so that they'll come on when the cat comes into the garden, that sort of thing.
You can actually buy a sensor for them, yeah. You can buy a sensor where it activates the timer system in the pump out. So they work on different. I think these are, if you want to save water, these are all the way to go.
Okay.
Using all the products. I use these in the pots for the tomatoes and the strawberries. And they went out very little water, but it's more concentrated. So you save water by getting the right system put in at the very beginning. It basically run out of balance very easily.
It looks to me like you get the sort of satisfaction you might get from having a model railway if you start sort of irrigating all your plants, and you've got to figure out how to tee it all together. And it must be quite satisfying when you balanced it all.
I can tell you now, there's nothing satisfying about water systems.
Oh, really?
They are so fidgety and irritating.
Oh, okay.
It's a job that I do professionally. I put it in several gardens, and it's satisfying for 50 weeks when it comes into stuff and get right back, and you have to readjust them all the time. When you hit them with a lawnmower, you replace it.
All right. Well, there's a man here. Look, as you might imagine, I love my irrigation system, low effort watering. But that's an engineer talking, and he probably takes a lot of pleasure in making that just right. And he's probably got the Internet of Things, of smart devices that he can control from his iPhone as well. Because there's all of that as well. I was at someone's house at the weekend, and I saw a unit that must have been battery or solar powered that was on the tap outside in the garden, and it was irrigating some lemon trees. And I was thinking, this must be controllable from a phone or something, or it's got some climate sensors or something like that. So it is quite exciting, and I'm sure you can really get into it. But as you say, the more complexity you have, the more frustrating and infuriating it can be as well, presumably.
I work out the cost for the business. I work out as being around £14 per unit, €14 per unit. And then I add my installation charge for that. So it's not expensive. When you get to the whole box, then you can spend anything from €30 for a really cheap one to hundreds and hundreds for an expensive. Some of them are attached to your telephone. Some of them are attached to a sensor where if you get a cloudy day or a rainy day, all the time on it. So you can select
Excellent. Yeah. All right, I'm muting my. Tell me if the mic sounds like I am reporting from a hurricane place, because it might sound really bad, and I can mute it up between talking. But Paul and Louise Lottie, well, that's Louise, isn't it? Good evening to you. Actually, let me start at the beginning so we can say hello properly. Sorry, I've gone to my hotspot now, which seems to be a little bit more reliable here. Live from a branch. You can see the wind's blowing on the laptop screen as well. Louise, good evening. Let's say formally, boa tarde to you, and you're right back at us with a boa tarde a todos. Gemini is here, who couldn't hear me a bit later on. Good evening, everyone. Hello, Gemini. Good evening to you. Buddleia, indeed, do get everywhere, as Louise agrees with you there, Stephen. But the butterfly do love them, and that's why we tolerate them, isn't it? Because they are so loved by the butterflies. They're a pretty thing themselves, and the butterflies come along as well and seem to love them, and often grow out of chimneys, which can be quite irritating to a homeowner. Because as John was saying before, John, that was a great spot, by the way, in Belvoir Forest. If a bird poos on your chimney and there's a buddleia seed in there, you can end up with a very pretty buddleia grown out of your chimney pot on the top of your roof. And then you've got to get someone to sort it out before it ruins your pointing. If you forgot to let Anna know about your questions, thanks. I think John popped this in onto the screen there, or have only just thought of one. Let us know. Yes, any questions for the head gardener or for any of us here as his research team, do let us know. The chat we had about ragwort earlier on, thank you for your comments on that, everybody. And I think we've sorted out the technical problems now. Evening, everybody. Evening, people, from Andrew and IBC. So those are the big tanks, are they, Lee? I missed that bit, but that's the big tank that you can fill up. Very popular here. Very popular among homesteaders, right? Can you pick them up second hand? And aren't they from juice companies and that sort of thing?
You can pick them up second hand, but they're quite cost effective. I think I've seen them going for around €25.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But you've got to make sure you clean them out properly, because God knows what's been in them in the past. Well, the bait is full of chemical, and that's what they're used for. So make sure you clean that up. And if you can get 2 or 3 connected together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds great. All right, so Louise, we have an irrigation system. Okay, Fiona, the info is coming in now, the intel from across the country. We have an irrigation system fed from a tank connected to a deep bore well aquifer over 40 meters deep. The lower levels are gravity fed from the tank via a solenoid on timer. Now it's getting technical. The upper, and I think that continues somewhere else. Yeah, the upper levels are water from a pump in the tank, all on the same timer system. Gone are the days with a large bore tube watering every night. Well, that's good news. That must save you hours over a year, and that's where it becomes really important. And they may use drip water in the UK. They are 1.5 litres per hour per 15 metres of drip pipe. There's the ratio for you. Can I use those for veg? Says Jason Hall. Well, why wouldn't he be able to do that, Lee?
That's exactly why different fittings for them as well. So this is works like a fountain, but you can get some that just spray directly from the 15mm pipe. So from the 15mm pipe, you can drill in, and you get some that work like a larger spray system. Jason, I'll send you a couple of images of mine. And put it on your shopping list when I see you in September. I'll bring you a few up, mate. They work brilliantly. Yeah.
Are you going to Casa Hall then, where we had the wonderful tour on the Get Out and Grow show? Are you popping up there, Lee?
Me and Andy are having a night planned up there for the man cave on Friday night. I'm knitting up in that way.
Fantastic! Can't wait. So we might end up with a few pickies then. It's really very blustery here. IBC stands for International Bulk Container. So yeah, a generic plastic container there. When all we want is water in it, as Lee was saying, goodness only knows what's been in it before if you buy them second hand. Louise, Andrew, what is the molecule on? What is that? What is the molecule on your imahe? What does that mean? Even Louise, explain. Hi, Andrew. Took many years to understand how to water different terraces, different plants, and what stops it working. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because they were talking about fluid dynamics. Carl, shield your mic if you can. I've turned with my back to the wind, as it were. I hope that's better now. Bon dia, alegria. Sound is bad. Sorry, Jeff Owen, but thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Yeah, fluid mechanics. I learned recently when I was doing a bit of a renovation job on water pressure that however big or small you put restrictors in, the pressure equalizes either side of whatever restriction you put in, which blew my mind just a little bit. I don't really understand these things in the way that I think Andy might do. So any more irrigation stuff, harvesting, please let us know. Send us pics of your setups. Have any questions coming, Anna?
Not that I can see. I've got the I've got the one from the suggestion from Fiona, just sort of saying if anyone's got any pictures or anything of their setups and what works or doesn't work for them. I haven't seen any new questions on the group as yet, but I shall keep having a look.
That's great, Anna. I hope my mic settled down a bit as well. I'm going to go to the Carl cam now. So on my phone, I've got my camera, of course, and I want to show you this so that we can see a bit of municipal gardening in Portugal. Marks out of 10 from the head gardener who used to do this sort of thing for a living. So if I spin round, actually, let me blow it up so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm live from a branch this afternoon. And you should be able to see a little bit of planting going on and some very nice renovation work as well. Sorry, you might get a bit of a mic, but no, maybe not, because it's actually muted up. Isn't that lovely? And typically in Portugal, fantastic children's playground as well. Monument in the middle and calçada everywhere. Beautiful designs on the floor there. Not a very good coffee today, though, I have to say. You know, what is it about? What is it about a Mare de Lait that brings you a cold coffee? It's not very hot often, is it? The milky coffee in Portugal. I got one of those today, I'm sad to say, but I was delighted to be able to buy a coffee here so I could use the facilities. So marks out of 10 for this bit of municipal planting then, head gardener.
From what I can see, it's very typical of Portugal, isn't it? And I like it. I really do. Obviously I'm on my telephone again, so I can't see the picture perfectly. So I'm going to go off my own little tangent. A lot of stuff I see when it comes to municipal gardening here is very basic, and it's kind of what does well in the temperatures that we have. And they always seem to make the best of what they've got. I think the grass always suffers here first, where in England we always have nice lush grass all summer. Here you get that patch of grass, that hilly, lumpy stuff. Well, the bedding's always nice. The plant's always reasonably well kept and clean and tidy. I quite like it. It's not something I'd want to do here. I wouldn't want to work for a local council here, but I do like it. I do like to drive around that.
Yeah, me too. And there are just so many places like this. It looks a slightly strange place as you come into a branch. It looks quite sort of industrial and not as pretty as some places are, but on the top of the hill, absolutely delightful. Typical Portuguese quaintness.
I saw my first haunted roundabout a few weeks ago. Going out near Villafranca, there was a roundabout in the highway. It was sponsored by a local business, and that was really nice, really well designed, really well kept. It's something that's got to become really popular in England.
Yeah.
I know in the north anyway, where the roundabouts are sponsored by a business and they put the money to design and develop it and use it as advertising space. And I think the more that starts to take over in Portugal, I think the better it will be. And the higher quality of plant and garden maintenance will be. Got your wind on your side, got kids on this side. Oi, kids!
Windy kids. I think Penny on behalf of friends in Brixton, we do have a question. Hello, how are you? Hello, there she is, star of the show. How are you?
Wait a minute. Come on, Jess.
Hello. Wow, two today. What's all that noise about then? Shut up. Go and pick some of Lee's tomatoes. He won't mind. We've got a question in, I think, haven't we, from Penny, friends in Brixham in Devon. So on the Devon side of things here, a 1-year-old Doyen du Comis pear quince. It's in the group. So what's the question there, Anna? Do we know?
There is a picture of it as well. Planted a 1 year, pear, rootstock in the winter of 2016, and then trained it into an espalier. First year of fruiting, so very excited, understandably, and getting asked when they'll be ready to pick. Being advised to pick them before they are ripe and let them ripen off the tree. But I'm on tenterhooks about harvesting them too soon or too late, and worrying about it at strange times such as the import. It says, dreaming of pear, sort of everything that they can make with it, and just needing any advice.
Fantastic.
I think, and that was the picture that was with it.
Oh, lovely! They've come on really well. Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, lovely pear, Penny.
I've also heard about picking them early and let them ripen off the tree. I think it's quite a fear of them once they're ripe and the stem starts to rot. Any strong wind become windfallen and damage on impact with the ground. So that's why a lot of people like to pick them early. I do have a friend who has one in his garden, and he likes to give it a little bit of a shake, and then anything that comes off, you can collect straight away. So I always found that quite funny. Watching him go out every day, give it a little bit of a shake, see what comes out. But yeah, definitely pick it early and let it ripen off the stem. But as for recipes, I couldn't give you any advice. But they don't mind being hard pruned either as well. If you get a hard winter, a hard pruning won't do them any harm. So if she gets, if the winter is hard this year in England and starts to get the blackening in at the end of each stem, she can, without worry, she can cut them back to the last good bud. They'll be fine.
Good to know.
Because a lot of people panic. If you get a bad winter, you start to die off at the end, and people panic and try to protect it instead of just trimming back and letting it burst out again. So let the winter do its worst, and in the spring, cut it back to the last good bud, and let it shoot from there. And then it'll fruit again without any problem.
Okay. I have got some beautiful produce pictures from Louise. I'm going to get those loaded up, Louise, subject to my hotspot allowing it. Have we got any other questions there, Anna? Really blowing up here, wind-wise.
We've just actually had one just come in from Dean, actually, on the group. Let's have a look. Two headers.
Hey up, Dean Machine.
Two headers both bought about the same time. They're only a few feet apart. Well, one may have slightly more sunshine. It should only be an hour or so difference at end of the day. One looks amazing, has grown incredibly. The other looks unhealthy and stunted. They're in identical pots as well. Any suggestions?
Yeah, it's really common with heather. It's commonly referred to as transplantation shock, but it's not really with heather. It's the root bound. It's the roots getting bounded in the pot in the nursery. So if they've been kept in too confined a pot to start with, the roots are all forcing on each other. If you get heather in a natural environment, the roots are really wide and flat. So when they've been grown in nurseries, they're in this little tight pot. So when you buy a heather, the best way to plant it is to destroy that root ball and open it up. And imagine if he takes them out of the ground and looks at them, there'll be two very different root systems. One will be open and wide and flat, and the other will be tight and compact. It's a very common problem with heather. So if he wants to save the plant now, I suggest he removes the poor quality one, viciously rip open the root system on it, and put it back in and give it plenty of water. It's really common when you're putting heather out. They look beautiful in the pot, they last a few weeks, and then as soon as they're starved of the water that they've got in the nursery, they go into transplantation shock and just die right back. Almost like a burnable tinder. Yeah, so take it out, rip out the roots, and replant it.
You've clearly some specialist knowledge and experience there. Okay, from WhatsApp.
I've come across it a few times,
yeah. From WhatsApp today. Thank you, Louise. Look at this produce, folks, from the garden of Louise. That is the Village Hall, Village Fate winning produce there. Isn't that beautiful? Fantastic, Louise. Absolutely delightful. It's so nice to be able to feature people's pictures of their produce here. Here we go. There's your vineyard. Well, yeah, vineyard, I say, your vine. But it's the beginning of a vineyard, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful there. Lovely picture. Yeah. And I'm not sure exactly what this is. Yummy produce indeed. I don't know if you can eat that, John, but that's a lovely picture. And some lovely blooms here as well.
First picture, but yeah.
Let's go back to that then. Look at that.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's not a cookery show. It's a growing show, but hard to separate the two. Look at that. These are the blooms. Lovely pictures, lovely garden. Thank you very much, Louise. Elaine is here, who was with us on the Feel Good Friday show on Friday. Thank you very much for joining us, Elaine. Do you garden? Have you got any pics to send us of your growing? Lee's advice also works for Japanese ornamental quince as well. So a little bit of a variant there on the pear and quince. Wow, says Elaine. We had allotments when I was growing up. I used to love the pea harvest. Great for kids, isn't it? The pea harvest. A pod for me and one for the pot. Classic, absolute classic stuff there. So thanks for joining us and thanks for that memory, Elaine. I think my battery. I've had one problem after another. Trying this outside. I think my wind has got better. We'll let you be the judge of that. But battery might go quite soon. What should we be looking out for, Lee, in the coming week? I guess we're getting to the end. We're getting to the lazy part of summer, aren't we, where we can enjoy it a little bit?
No, we're getting to the exciting bit of summer now. All the harvesting's happening, but we need to be prepping now for our winter crops going in.
Yeah.
We need to be sustaining our soil, getting our soil back to good quality soil for winter crops. And it's also important to come in weed season now. We're going to get the drier, those cooler days with a bit more natural rain. The weeds are going to start taking on your veg patch if they haven't already.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of work to be had already across both nations. In England, you've got all the fruit trees are coming bang up. My orange trees are shooting out new shoots everywhere. So yeah, it's busy time of year now. Now's the good time. Yeah.
Thank you, Head Gardener. It's getting a bit technical in the comments. Hi, Jason. We use 60mm tube with either the sprinklers that Lee showed or small inline drippers, coming from Louise there. So there's some good water networking going on. Go on, Lee.
Depending if you're going to sink them or not. If you're going to sink them underground, go for the bigger, strongest tubes. Don't put the 5mm down there. If you're going to run it on the surface, use a light thin scope. It's easy to work with and it's cheap to buy. So it depends on how you're going to work your system. So you're going from the sort of industrial fittings and units, and then you go to the more. This is perfect for underground work, and then you go to the more basic unit, which is perfect for above ground work. You can see mine are well used. It all depends on. I mean, this is the stuff I use above surface. Obviously, you wouldn't want to bury that because the pressure, there's no strength in it. But it's perfect for veg. It's perfect for veg and flower beds.
Okay.
We could do a whole show on that alone.
And I dare say we will at some point. Yeah, and for future weeks, let's keep this as an ongoing theme for Fiona. We are looking for ingenuity in saving and harvesting rainwater, maybe even your grey water off your house. So if you've got anything interesting like that, do send the pics in. 913 590 303. The number I will put on the screen right now. Yeah, so pictures and voice messages. You can even ask questions via voice message. 351 Portugal code 913 590 303.
You're muted, Carl.
I think Carl's gone. He was talking about his battery having disappeared. So I don't know. Yes. Okay. So feeding the birds in the garden. Right. Interestingly, the interesting thing is, apparently there's some birds are still breeding at this point of the year. So a good piece of advice for feeding the birds is try and make all the bits of bread, if you do use bread, and use bird seed as well. Better bird seed is better, obviously, a lot better. But make it quite small, because the birds, the way they feed their young, you might end up actually, the young might get the bigger stuff stuck in their throats. So I shall see if I can find an article on that on the web and post it in the show now.
You really shouldn't be using
the group, rather.
You really shouldn't be using bread to feed the birds with. There's no nutrients in it. There's no beneficial nutrients in bread at all.
Okay.
You'll find a lot of places now around duck ponds where they actually say don't put bread in to feed the ducks.
Yeah.
It's just no benefit to them. So I think, oi, kids, go play somewhere else, please. It's a bit too loud. Nuts and seeds is always way to go, or fat balls. I think Anna would agree that the woodpeckers like the fat balls more, or the mealworm, the small mealworms, they're perfect for it. But I would steer well clear of bread. It's a waste, and it's not good for the birds, and it just causes rat problems.
Cool.
Justine, I think we've just had a question coming in as well about carrots.
Oh,
Great.
Another one from Fiona here. I think, when do you know your carrots are ready for pulling up?
You can actually see if you just at the base of the green, the crown of the carrot. It starts to go a bit brown, a bit darker. That's when it's carrots are so productive. Clear off. Give me 10 minutes. When the carrots are so productive that you can take one up, and they're all pretty much the same. It's all at the same time. So you take one up. If it's not ready, you can eat it anyway because it's just a smaller carrot. From your line, how big they are. But if you're very careful, you can replant the carrot you're taking out as well. You have to just be careful taking it out. Normally, you'll see a little crown coming above the ground, and when that starts to darken off, that's around that time it's time.
Fantastic. All right. So if we've not got any more questions, we might have to just roll that end sequence there. If you can still hear me, sat in the park here. I've got to say, Lee, as well as being a sort of municipal gardener, you do quite a good parky as well. Telling the kids to clear off like that. That was like a memory coming back from being a kid in the park.
It was one of my favourite jobs in the park, that shouting at the old bowlers when they were on the bowling green before I'd cut it. Get off my green! Yeah, I was a typical kid, yeah. Get off my green.
Fantastic. So any concluding comments? Anyone? Anything else coming in, Anna, on the questions? It's a bit difficult for me to see where I am at the moment. Just enjoying the evening sun in a branch show.
Thing that I can see at the moment, just having a look. Nothing that I can see at the moment.
All right, John. Any puns or jokes that have occurred to you in these last few minutes? I have seen you smiling in that enigmatic way that you do.
Well,
when a
I
moment
was just wondering if the friends from Brixham thought life was going to turn out where is it? Yeah, thought life was going to be this way.
Thank you, John. Okay. The difficult moment that we've avoided is I thought we were going to have to sing the theme tune at the end. I've managed to find it, even on my mobile phone. I can play the videos and stuff. It's quite an extraordinary piece of technology, this. So we've been saved scatting it as a 4-part barbershop harmony, everybody. You might be glad to know. So keep the questions coming in, folks, for next week. Hopefully, he'll be back in the studio and it'll be a bit easier for me to manage and produce the show. Thank you for bearing with today. Sorry if the sound was a bit awful, but it's been a delight to be here live in a branch. Gonna have a look around the town now, and peace out from Andy there, as well as shouting at Lee. Barky! Okay, so have a great evening, everybody, wherever you are. Enjoy the rest of your evening in the UK on Bank Holiday Monday. Lee, I think you're probably going to have an early bath, lad, and a good soak after a hard day's work, and a few more beers, I suspect.
A few more beers to be had.
Right,
yeah.
Fantastic. Great job, everybody. Take care, and bye for now. Have a lovely evening.
For now.
It's